Good morning. Welcome once again to Jasiri. This is where we have bold conversations. And today's conversations are not any different. On the show today, we're tackling one of the most urgent issues facing our communities, the abuse and exploitation of our children. It is what it is. We all know that. From child labor to early marriage, from street survival to silent suffering, too many Nigerian children are being robbed of their safety, their rights, and their future, and it has to stop. As parents, teachers, and as a community, we have to start prioritizing and protecting these children from every abuse and exploitation. So this is a necessary conversation that you can't miss. It's coming up later, but first.
Absolutely, Kathy. Sometimes the dangers we actually warn about is not lurking in the shadows. It's right here in front of us in broad daylight. Now, recently I actually saw a story on Twitter where a lady talked about how a young girl who's a beggar in Yaba begged her for money, and she was so much in a hurry to actually get to where she was going to, so she kept walking and ignored the girl. But moments later, this same girl allegedly pushed her towards an oncoming bus. So it took the quick reflexes of a street vendor to actually pull her back, and that particular girl was flogged and bitten by the same bus that, would have hit that woman. I remember the bus driver, the conductor, and also the vendor, that's the street vendor, attacked the girl because they knew what she was up to.
Yeah.
Apparently, she was angry at the fact that this particular woman did not give her money.
Or pay attention.
Yes, or pay attention to her. She was so pissed.
Yeah. There are many, whether we like it or not, there was a time where there was an influx of Niger children in the country, and Nigerians being empathetic as we are, just seeing a small child who's so pretty, you look at the child, very vulnerable. Where's your mother? And they point their mother to you. Their mothers are nursing other babies, and then you're moved, you just dash. And then after a while, it became something of entitlement. They began to expect or even demand. And I was in a vehicle, I think I was on radio then. And do you know, these people have something, I don't know whether it's a knife or they scrape your car when you say no to them. They actually scrape, and you're looking at them in the mirror, and even if you want to come down from your car to run after them, they take off. And they giggle and they take it as if it's normal. So I'm surprised that this has resurfaced and has become like a thing again.
Well, it never went away. Maybe you just became not oblivious, but immune to it. But it never went away.
Didn't it?
No, it never went away.
They were always beggars. Like when you go to the north, you find a lot of them.
Yeah, but that's the north.
It doesn't matter. You find a lot of them, and most of them are serious about begging. And let's not forget that this begging is an industry. It is actually a multi-million-dollar industry. And do not forget that these people actually have quotas, right? Yes, they have the targets to meet. And at this point in time, everybody ID red. Do you understand? So people value even the 100 naira that they have left on them because there's no money anywhere.
So how
the cost
do you
of
now
living has increased. So, whatever, even 15 naira, people actually value, they keep it for emergency sake. So they don't go about giving out, to beggars and all that because they feel at this moment they might end up becoming beggars as well. So why give it to other people,
Yeah, then why are the other people who are demanding, why do they demand it with their full chest on 100?
And they hold you.
Imagine they bad belly that one fell, and you not even fear God. You have the gumption, the temerity in broad daylight to push somebody in front of motor.
You say fear God. Which God are they fearing? No, seriously.
No, because these issues are deep.
I understand that, but poverty is also deep.
It is.
So does that now...
And it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, don't get me wrong. It's not an excuse for anyone to become violent or vindictive, on the street.
If that vendor didn't pull her away from that's it. It would have been the end. Yeah. And someone would say why, and she would claim that she's... Because yesterday we talked about how we're dealing with a lot of trauma. We don't even know sometimes that we're walking around with a lot of trauma.
And that was also traumatic for the lady because she said she usually passes there every time. So she was scared of going that way the following day because she doesn't know what the girl
Right.
So it's crazy. I remember a particular scene. I don't know if you watched To Kill a Monkey, where they're trying to kill somebody, and then the guy gave money to a little girl with a knife, right?
Yeah.
And then when she was passing, she now stabbed.
Yes.
I remember that part.
It was in the market.
A lot of people actually
It was
thought,
in the market.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of people thought, that particular scene wasn't possible. It was just something that was concocted and everything. But it happens. Because who would suspect a child?
You see what she's saying here? Maybe I should have even given her the money. So we are now blackmailed into feeling like this. Maybe I should have just given her the money. Said, I just put myself for plenty busy and I ended up reaching where I was going late. See life. So now in her mind, she's thinking, she would have just given her this money. It doesn't, in your head, it doesn't occur to you in that moment that, let me stand my ground. If I don't want to give you money, I don't want to give you money. I'm not convinced I should give you.
It's almost like we're being emotionally blackmailed.
And then we always accept it.
And we adjust.
People are telling her, maybe she's a small girl, you should have just given her the money.
But
it's beyond that.
People don't give as much as they used to because of the economic crunch, So these people are persistent. So that girl was so persistent to the extent that, she turned violent. But who knows, if she was threatened. Do you understand? Who knows if she was threatened or she's not used to being denied money. But here you go, this lady now asked her for money and she refused to give me. Who does she think she is?
And
I'm
you
going
judge
to kill
that
her,
child and they
happen.
say it's
this thing you're saying about people don't give the way that they used to. Even those that, there's this sense and idea of entitlement. There's a particular food joint that I usually go to at least 2 or 3 times a week to buy food. And when my driver goes there, sometimes it's quite full, so he would look for where to park and whatnot. So on like 2 occasions, he would tell the guy, I don't get money, next time I see you, I will give you. This particular day, I was in the car with him. He came down, went to buy food, and came back. And then as we were driving out, he said, make I give this guy something, and brought out 100 naira to give him. The guy looked at him and eyed him
a
like
beggar
this,
with choice.
Like, na me, they give 100 naira, beg, why can't they go, Joe? I said, I give you this money with my full mind, though. I give you this thing out of my full mind.
And
you
it has
make I collect my 100 naira,
to do
they
with
go.
whether you can afford more than 100 or that's exactly what you can afford.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything. They are expecting that. In fact, you want to dash somebody money now, they're not looking at 100 naira or 200, they're looking at 500, from 500 naira upwards.
Yeah.
And when you give them something less than that, they look at you like that, look up and down, and ask you whether, I don't understand, am I a tree? Am I a spoon that you think that's 100 naira and
you talked about blackmail, and I think for a long time, for so long, we've actually been blackmailed into thinking that if a beggar begs you, please find it in your heart, no matter how little, to give to them, and that way God will bless you.
No. But then that's a religious setting. That's a religious setting.
Whether we like it or not,
setting. And the thing is that if you want to say it's cultural, right? Religion has permeated culture. Religion has informed culture, whether you like it or not.
I think
that's a religious default setting. Now, it's nice to give.
Yes.
Right? If it makes you feel good about yourself, if it makes you feel less guilty for having more than others, if it just makes you feel like, oh, I'm part of the human race and I want to, just give back something, that's okay. But nobody should be made to feel guilty for not doing something that they are not obligated to do because you feel entitled to it.
Even if you give nowadays, there's the part of the giving and there's the part of the receiving. Even the receivers of the gifts now find it difficult to be appreciative because they have now the entitlement mentality has crept in.
No, they've raised their expectations.
Exactly.
So no matter what you give people now, they don't even say thank you.
So the little they used to
say
accept,
thank you. I know
it means nothing to them anymore.
A friend of mine sent money home from overseas, and he was telling me that Kat, can you imagine I sent this amount of money and the person I sent it to didn't bother to say thank you? He had to ask the person, "Mba, sure you received this money that I sent?" That was, oh, yes, I received it.
If you're talking about that,
And
how
there was no
about
thank you even at,
how
yes, I
about,
received it.
how about sis books? How about the one that said, the one that said, oh, so what do you use your money for? Who do you take care of? You don't have kids, you don't have a family, so what do you use your money for?
Oh, I hear
And this
that
is somebody
all the time.
begging for money.
All right, so let's take reactions before, you know, if we leave the three of us on
Have
the
we not
table.
been taking reactions?
No,
We are the
our
reactions.
reactions.
All right.
Let's take reactions. Thank God for your life, ma'am. May ultimate death, untimely death, never be our portion. Please pay attention going forward, as the girl is still out there. I'm really shocked at how some kids develop evil intentions. My sister, never
There's
shock
nothing
you.
to shock you.
The way those beggars are entitled, you will think you owe them money because I don't know if it's your fault they can't work or their parents don't hustle for them.
All right, we have this next one that said, that's how one in Calabar, after begging me for money, I said I didn't have. I noticed he was following me and I knew the next thing he was going to do was resort to violence. And I really don't like when they follow me and do all that touching. So I reached for my bag to give. This is actually incomplete, but he did say he reached for his bag to give. Something
See, so
happened.
that's the thing. That's a manipulation.
Manipulation.
Exactly.
I hope something is done about the rights of beggars in Nigeria. It's becoming something else. It is either they are setting people up in the worst ways possible and no one is doing anything about it.
Guy, once everybody stops giving them money, help, that useless entitlement will end. Maybe their parents wouldn't give birth to children to spread them around to beg. Can you imagine?
And let's
don't
not
think
also
so.
forget that most of them also remit this money. I told you it's an
To their
industry.
parents.
It is an
They have
industry. I don't
supervisors.
think that they would stop just because you stop giving them. I think that because of how, like you said, the entitlement has set in, they have found the streets to be, made the streets their home.
Yeah.
They will take advantage of that. Violence will increase, right? And in fact, mindless, senseless violence will increase.
Yeah.
Look at this lady now. If that vendor was not there, for instance, and she was pushed in front of an oncoming bus, they would just say,
Apparently, that wasn't the first time. The girl tried, but the bus was not speeding. So that was when the lady noticed that, it'd be like, say, this girl won't try something, or do you get? So when the oncoming, the one speeding came,
She
tried to, that was when she grabbed the woman's hand.
You see, there is something.
we are our brother's keeper.
Yes,
No,
we are.
in this case,
We should be,
We
at
should be our brother's keeper, and that's thankful. Thankfully, the street vendor nearby, jumped in to save her, because we wouldn't be having this discussion today if that didn't happen. But I think there's that silent manipulation. What you give energy to is what you give life to. Insofar as we're feeding the manipulation, insofar as we are saying, oh my God, I knew they were going to do something nasty, so I reached into my bag to give. That means you are not inclined to give, but you say, me, fair wahala.
Exactly.
And because of me, fair wahala, you're reaching out to. And they know this, that if you keep putting pressure on them, they will ultimately reach into their bags to give them money. So when someone says begging has to stop, I'm wondering how. Are you waiting for government to stop the begging? You cannot, this is the reality. Things that start don't usually end.
There's no
The
control.
other day, I was
No
actually
control.
walking on one of the streets and I saw a lady, there was a woman that was sitting there. I think I saw her on 2 occasions. She was sitting with 2 of her kids. And a lady came and harassed her. And she was like, when I overheard what she was saying, she was like, you're still here begging. But I gave you money yesterday. I think the lady got a house for her and the kids. And, got food stuff and everything. Probably started a business for the lady. But the lady still came out to beg.
No, it's a
So she
business.
yeah, exactly.
It is a business, whether you like it or not. It's always, you see, have you heard this phrase, urgent 2K? There are people who sit down. I was doing a report, for radio once, and I sat down with some ladies that said, that they do that on a daily basis. They have a target for themselves for a week, like 50K for a week or 100K, and they have people in their contacts that they have sub-stories to tell, and before you know it, they're giving.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then they make and they were happy telling me this, and that, in a week they can have sometimes they make their quotas early before the week ends and they're nice. They know that they've
real
locked up for
business.
the week.
It's a real job.
Business.
It's a way of
It's a
earning
business,
money.
and it's also children who are part of this business. And it is part of the discussion after the break. When we talk about child abuse and exploitation, it's not just about statistics. We're talking about lives, we're talking about futures and communities. After the break, Busola Ojo-Oba, a feminist, social worker, and gender-based violence prevention specialist, who's on the front lines of protecting children and empowering women across Africa, joins us. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the show. Now, do not forget, you can actually join the conversation online across our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. Now, let's get down to brass tacks. According to the International Labour Organization, over 24.6 million children in Nigeria, almost 4 out of every 10 are trapped in child labor. Now, even more alarming, 14.4 million of them are involved in hazardous work that risks their health, safety, and future. Now, these are not just numbers. They are children whose rights are being stolen in silence, and we find this in homes, on farms, in markets, in our schools, and even on our streets. Today on Jasiri, we're confronting this crisis head-on as we explore the realities of child abuse, neglect, and even exploitation, and also how we can build safer communities for our children. Now, joining us now is Busola Ojo-Oba, a feminist, social worker, and gender-based violence prevention specialist. Busola has trained over 5,000 women across Africa in violence prevention and empowerment, self-defense, and the likes. Now, she's also the founder of #Teachers Against Abuse, which is an initiative equipping educators to identify, protect, and also support vulnerable students. Welcome to the show, Busola. It's glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so Busola, let's begin. According to UNICEF, right, 44% of girls in Nigeria are married before 18, and it's even higher in the north. To begin with, how can we break the cycle?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So first of all, I'd like to say that this conversation we're having is a very sensitive topic, and it is very emotional. So for viewers, for listeners, for those that are at home, I want to tell you that you could take time off, you could even turn off the TV, or even go off YouTube, or wherever you're watching or listening from. And this is because it could bring up uncomfortable memories for you. So I'm just saying that so no one feels they have to watch it, they have to be here. Because for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, these conversations can stir up uncomfortable memories or bring up pain. As much as we want to educate, we want to share information, we want to tell them that this was not your fault, we also have to be mindful of people out there.
Understandable.
All right, so thank you. So the first thing is child abuse, child neglect, child exploitation is something that not only happens in Nigeria, but worldwide. It's a global conversation that we have every time. So in the last 3 years, I worked in Africa as a gender-based violence prevention officer. And there's something that has stood out for me in all my years of training. And it is the fact that it's a crisis that people don't want to identify, but it is happening. It's an issue that they say, oh, it's family. You have crossed the family line. Now it's you against the government. It's a crime. It's not a ishiaye. It's not spiritual. It's not a, oh, I was misled. No, you cannot be misled to put a child in harm's way. And children cannot give consent. Children under the ages of 18 can't give consent. That they're 19 does not also mean that you can start exploiting them. So what is child abuse? What is child neglect? What is child exploitation? Child abuse is when you, as an adult or a trusted caregiver or someone who's in charge of children, parents, doctors, adults, guardians, intentionally harm this child physically, emotionally, verbally, spiritually, psychologically. What is child exploitation? When you're exploiting a child, they can't give consent, like I said earlier. You are manipulating them. You are forcing them to do things for gains that does not benefit them. And in the hierarchy, who should parent a child? The parent, not the other way around. Because it's not the job of children to parent the adults in the environment.
Yeah.
So what is neglect? Neglect can be intentional or unintentional, but regardless, it is still neglect. So when we talk about neglect, you as an adult or the trusted caregiver in charge of this child, you are purposely or, like I said, intentionally or intentionally abandoning this child. And it takes many forms. They are under the umbrella of child abuse. So we live in Nigeria, and you know that thing whereby you just do something slight, and your parents call you Ode, Olodu. What you hear every time stays with you. So let me ask us this conversation, or this question, to us here and to the viewers out there. What type of childhood did we wish we had?
What kind of child do we wish we had?
What kind of childhood did we wish we had?
What kind of childhood? I think as you grow older, you begin to, it varies. Yeah, when you are younger, you say, oh, I wish my parents listened to me more, or one parent more than another. I wish my mother would understand me more. I wish I could open up to my parents more and tell them exactly what is doing me, that kind of thing. But as you grow older, you understand that you have to break that cycle. So as we become parents, you try to break that cycle of what you wanted, how you wish to be treated. You try to break that cycle so that your children can have that kind of access to you without wishing that it's what they had.
Can you please tell us what kind of childhood you wish you had?
Oh, I had a very fantastic childhood. It was very interesting. It was fun. You know, I had no regrets, but except for a few times when I would do something and they would flog me, and I wish that my real parents would come and take me away. But aside that, it was very fantastic.
I would say I had a balanced childhood. I think that there is some level of, there is leeway, there is liberty, there is, but at the same time, there also is structure, there also is order, there also is discipline to a certain point. I'm not saying that every discipline that I received I felt I deserved, right? Or that maybe it was a bit too extreme. But I think that it was balanced to a large extent. And let me add this: I forgive my parents.
Very important.
Okay, fair enough. So let's assume that you had the semblance of a balanced childhood. So imagine over 10 million children who never had the chance, who didn't have that. Now, we can argue on both sides that parents didn't know better. But like I said, it's not a job of children to parent the adults. We can also link into the fact that we cannot force women to have children, because you have to be balanced mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, financially to have children. Take Nigeria, for example. What's happening in this very harsh economic situation?
Must we have children?
It's not compulsory. You don't have to have children if you don't want to have children. It's not compulsory.
But society always leans into that pressure of you must born.
They lean into the pressure, and it's very hard because society is highly patriarchal and it's very sexist. So there's a need to want to reproduce, to have children, to follow the law, to follow what they're saying. But just a minute few that will say they don't want children. But even that minute few, there's so much pressure, like you said. Back to back. Family members, even to your partner. If I agree that we won't have children, and like 4 years down the line, mommy may so pay. My mommy said, my daddy said, the pastor said, maybe we should try one.
Or peer pressure.
Peer pressure.
My friends have 4
My
children.
friends have 4.
I don't have 1.
So back to child abuse. So physical child abuse is the most common that we see, but it's not the only one. So the question should be, why do we think we can eat children at the slightest thing, at the slightest provocation? Why do we think that we can just say, you're crazy, you are stupid, you are spanking them, you are eating them, you are throwing cups at them. You're calling them names. Some parents wake up to curse their children. I'm talking about you're stupid.
The deep one.
The kind of curse. The you will perish kind of curse. You will amount to nothing kind of curse. So if you grow up all your life and you've been taught or you've been told that you will amount to nothing, word stays with us. and the body keeps the scores of trauma.
I want to chip in something here, and I know we need to probably take a break in a minute or so, but I wanted to chip in something here. You know, I think it's easy for us to sit and judge parents for what they've done to their children. But I also want to point out that it's a cycle. Abuse is cyclical. Mm-hmm. People do what they do because of what they know, right? Now, it doesn't excuse some parents who are just evil. Mm-hmm. You know, there are just some people in this world that are evil, regardless of where they've come from, regardless of who they've come from, they are evil. Mm-hmm. But abuse is a cycle. And that's why I added that last bit that I forgive my parents. I'm not saying that they abused me, but I recognize that some of the things that I missed are things that they didn't have the capacity to do. Some of the things that I wished I could have enjoyed or I could have had more of, they didn't have the capacity to give it. Because you now have to go back to where they've come from, what their own experience is, how they have been brought up, what they have also missed in their childhood as well. Abuse is cyclical. So it can be easy to sit down and say, oh, you hit this child. What did that parent go through? What is that parent going through? What is triggering in that parent's life? And until we begin to see how we have a part in breaking the cycle, we're always going to play the blame game. But it's important to actually highlight that abuse is cyclical, and that's why everybody needs therapy.
In any case, please, if you'd like to comment on that, can you just hold your thought? Let's take a short break. So from child marriage to hazardous child labor, the abuse comes in many forms, and Bukky has just given us just a breakdown of that succinctly, and it's often hidden in plain sight. So after the break, let's explore invisible scars of child sexual abuse and the silence that too often protects predators instead of the victim. Stay with us. The conversation just got started.
It's a solemn conversation, but it's a much-needed conversation. And it's not just about statistics. It's about the children on our streets, in our schools, in our homes, whose safety and futures are being stolen in silence. And talking about silence, Busola, who is a feminist and a violence prevention specialist, you've done a lot of work, right, in schools. You do a lot of work in schools teaching teachers how to spot children who are endangered, let me put it that way, or children who are facing abuse or in one way or the other. First of all, how is the response from the teachers?
Yeah.
I'm trying to put the question together because it's multi-layered. What's the response from teachers? Is there any resistance from the children? And how much success have you found, or how much success have you gathered with the training that you've done so far?
Okay, so I've done much work in Africa, teaching empowerment, self-defense to women and girls and children. But the bottom line that I've noticed over time is that these children do not believe that they have the capacity to defend themselves because the adults in their lives have told them that they're not worth defending or not worth believing. And that's the bottom line. Like I said, when you constantly tell me I'm stupid since I've been born, when I'm 19, when I'm 20, when I'm 35, that belief, I will take it to my grave. It's like she said, it takes intentionality to break that cycle. But it's very hard because these are conversations that we don't even have in this part of the world, even globally. It's not Nigeria or Africa. We don't have these conversations. So when they come up to me because they disclose a lot of things and they say, oh, I've been abused, either as a survivor or a victim or a potential victim, because these abusers test, target, and attack their victims. They will test you. They know that as you're walking down the path going home from school, they can see that, oh, this child walks alone from 2 p.m. to 5. So they know that your parent goes to work or they go somewhere at this time. They know that you're not with a trusted caregiver or a trusted adult. They can see that pattern. They are targeting you. They are following the behaviors that you do every time. Oh, she wears purple uniform, he wears pink uniform to school. They can pick. Then they come close to you, just randomly. Oh, I saw you are going to school. My cousin goes to this school too. Children, innocent, amazing. Oh, my name is Busola. My school is just down the road. I'm in primary 5. They come again. Maybe offer you
Definitely.
biscuit or something. Even somebody
will
won't
become a
offer you
familiar
anything.
face.
Oh, your mom said I should tell you, your dad said I should tell you, uncle said I should tell you. Then they become, hey, auntie, good morning, uncle, good morning. It's a pattern.
Yes.
By the time they attack you, so they've done the targeting, they've done the testing. By the time they attack you, that's when they go in.
Okay, now let's also not forget that, harmful practices, like child marriage, corporal punishment, a lot of us actually see it as tradition. So it's quite difficult, for us to resist when our parents, push all these traditions on us, And then also, poverty can also be a driver, right? For example, when families push, children to hawk on the streets, or even domestic servitude, due to financial,
Poverty.
Barriers and all that. So what happens to that child? Because you talked about how children feel like, they do not have the right to say no to their parents. So how can a child, resist when, for example, let me just give an example. I know someone who, growing up, they wanted to send her to her aunt's place because her aunt, reached out to the father saying that, I want your child to come and stay with me so that I can take care of her because she was a bit wealthier than, the father. But it's not like they were doing any bad, right? And the father said, as long as I am alive, my child will not live with anyone. I will take care of them the best way that I can. So for those who do not have parents like that who would actually stand by them and defend them, what happens?
It's quite unfortunate because the poverty we're even experiencing in Nigeria is multidimensional poverty. And even before Nigeria became the Nigeria that it is right now, parents have been sending their children off to family members, even to go on the street. Then we can marry that with harmful cultures, honor killing, breast ironing, female genital mutilation, child marriage.
What did you say?
Breast ironing?
Breast ironing, where a pre-puberty girl who is growing breast, they put this iron or this metal or this, that in the grind pepper.
In the north, they actually, this
and
thing
they
that
put it on fire
to fetch
to press
amala.
the breast flat.
Stop it from growing.
To stop from growing. So, quote unquote, she does not attract men or men don't look at her.
It's a tradition,
It's
especially
a
in most
harmful
places in the
tradition.
north.
It even happens outside the north. It happens all over the world. Female genital mutilation, that's, and it's in 4 types, where they cut the clitoris, they stitch it, is so painful, it is dehumanizing, it is everything bad in dictionary, we use the word for it. And in their defense, they say, to keep girls' legs closed, to ensure they're not sexually active at a young age, it's a cultural practice we have to uphold, it's a this, we have to do that. But the long-term implications, medically, emotionally, physically, psychologically, is even way worse. And the question we should ask ourselves are, why do we need to harm children? Why do we need to abuse girls? Because on a scale of 1 to 10, boys and girls are being abused, but young girls have it way worse
Than the boys.
A girl will be given out in marriage. You will hardly find a boy being given out in marriage because they'll tell you, why should a 10-year-old boy be betrothed? So the question I'm asking is, why should a 10-year-old girl be betrothed?
So it's time to begin to ask these questions that... So we've established so many perspectives and so many layers on today's conversation. But I'm gonna go back to one and say, how do we identify now? We know that there's a lot of times where we talk about these. How do you identify? How do you protect children at risk? What are the things that parents are missing? What are the signs parents need to look out for? So these are the questions I'm going to ask today. What do we look out for children who are at risk? And are there things that parents are missing or we are just busy with life
Okay.
I'm sorry, before you answer that question, you're talking mainly about children who are being abused outside of the home, when we know that more than half of the abuse that happens to children is from inside the home. And I'm even talking as gruesome as sexual abuse. It happens with people who they know, and they're not able to say anything. And somehow it goes back to Dashen's comment about servitude, but it's also that you cannot talk. You can't talk back to your elders.
And especially
and then
trust.
Stigma and trust.
Trust when
like
parents
it is
trust if it's a sibling
multi-layered.
that's violating the child. When the parents of the victim trust the abuser more than like it's a family member, blood, brother, sister.
But even if it's not family member, sometimes the parents would be like...
Even parents
they'll be like, oh, we don't want
children.
especially if, the police is involved, they'll be like, we don't want it to go further than this. We don't want,
It's a
our family
family
name,
matter.
our family name
she established that,
to be everywhere. We don't want people to
started.
see us in a different light. So let's just settle it within. Even if it's from, the abuse is coming from someone outside.
So, first of all, I'll say to all of us, we all have a duty to children, regardless of what we are now. I'm not a mom, I'm an aunt. I have children, niece and nephew. I have people who have children around me.
Yeah.
So whether you have children or you don't have children, we all have a
matter.
responsibility to children. And like I will always say, when we protect the abuser, we are sending a strong message, a strong signal to the victims.
To the victim.
That they're not worth defending, and that you can't believe them.
Yeah.
You are invalidating their feelings, their thoughts, their emotions, or minimizing the abuse. Abuse is in layers. We can begin to unpack abuse from now till 7 p.m. and we are not done. So the question again I will ask is, why do we as society feel the need to cover up abuse and let the abusers walk away? And abusers are banking on the silence of the victims and of the society. The parents. The closest people to you that will abuse you are those in your circle. The dad, the mom, the driver, the nanny, the security, teachers in school, religious leaders. They're just closest to us. They're the ones who most likely start the abuse before even an outsider would think to do that. Strangers abuse children, even on the bus, on the street. I remember years ago I was on the bus. I saw a young child on the school uniform. She came up to 12, and in the front row she were like 4 men, and then there were a lot of stories. So I was watching out for this child. I was like this, that whatever is going to happen, I will fight from the back. Guess who was being touched? Me. There's a man entered the bus and put his hand under my dress. I actually thought there was a nail on the bus, on the chair. So I said, Lagos bus. People that had. So I thought, and he was driving like a madman, just going all over the place. I was like, can't this driver behave? But the driver now paused to pick passengers.
Yes.
And I just clocked it that this is not the nail, this is not the bus driver. This man that looked very decent put his hand under my dress. I was doing something like this, and
Didn't
he put
you break his fingers?
Right under my dress. And I lost my mind. I froze on the spot. And he said, oh, sorry. So abusers are aware of what they are doing. Then he said, oh, are you done with your work? Then I was even done serving. Even though how small I was years ago. And he said, oh, are you done with your work? And I said, I couldn't even answer, because why are you asking me, after abusing me, asking me if I'm done my work? I was done my NYSC. So at what point was he right? Whether I was a YX student,
he felt
or
you were naive. He felt you were still...
I didn't leave my house for 1 week. I told everybody in my family that, see what happened, see what happened, see what happened.
He just stopped when you turned to look at him. I mean, you froze. Okay,
I froze. Yeah. So the moment he knew that I was aware, he took off his hand. So if I didn't clock it till I get to where I was going to Keja, so you can imagine how, and I didn't have any idea. This is just one reality out of the thousands of realities of women and girls and children globally.
And I think that sometimes, abuse, especially when you have children in situations where at home they're being neglected, the moment they begin to see some level of attention or care from someone, some uncle, some auntie, some big friend, some stranger even on the road, right? They welcome it. And they don't realize that it's
Parental
neglect is one thing.
Okay, let's hold it before the tea of aid drops. Let's take one last break here. We're on the home stretch of Jasiri. We'll be wrapping up this conversation. When we return, stay tuned.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Jasiri. Now, let's go back to something Bukky said. Bukky talked about how when some kids are neglected, that they tilt towards, anyone that gives them a little bit of attention. Now, let's not always also forget that, there's such a thing as digital exploitation as well. So when those kids are neglected, and most times the parents decide to give them tabs or phones, right, to just while away their time, these children tend to go online, and then they're exposed to a lot. So what happens in such cases? So how can these children be protected in such cases, especially when the parents, they neglected them, they even have no idea what's going on?
Parental neglect is a thing. It's also a form of abuse. It's also a form of abuse. Emotional neglecting your child, physically neglecting your child. Children have needs. They need love, they need care, they need attention, they need warmth, they need tenderness. They need to be listened to, they need to be heard. How many parents are able to create safe spaces for their children? How many parents are able to say, this is an open door policy. My children can talk to me. My children can speak to me. I will fight for my children. Nobody's above correction. Nothing is above the program. When children are involved, draw the line. When someone is actively, currently violating your child, draw the line. Use your voice. Speak up. And this can be very dicey because our society, again, would rather protect the abuser. I tell you, Tiakpo, your own is too much. Why are you making a big deal out of it? Maybe it's just small. Yeah. Okay, for what corny. But damage has been done. The damage has been done. It affects their school. It affects them being able to develop healthy relationship with adults, even form romantic relationships, cognitive development, PTSD, depression, anxiety. Even people who are not abused have some form of anxiety or depression or other things because life happens. Then add the layer of abuse. Add the fact that for 10 years or 20 years, I will constantly, or this individual, I will constantly blame themselves and say, oh, this happened to me. I should have done better. It's not what you were. It's not where you were. It's not what you did. We need to transfer the shame, the blame, the guilt to the abusers and protect the victims, protect the survivors. Because when we are telling children that they don't matter, they don't have a voice from a young age, they grew up into this society, the same society that we are protecting the abusers from. So what do you think becomes of this child when they grow up? You want to reap the fruit of a labor. We're not doing the work of self, the work of parenting.
I hear what you say.
I want to go back to this digital exploitation because it's a thing, because we are in a digital era.
Cyber abuse.
And in as much as, I think I would hope that more parents are a lot more alert and awake to what can happen to their children
Online.
Physically, offline. Online is a different ball game. I'm curious, what age do you think is appropriate for children to have access to phones that are data ready? In fact, phones in general, before you even go to whether they have access to internet or not, what age do you think is appropriate for them to do so?
Now, I'm not a parent, so I know parenting is a lot, and it's a full-time job. But if you ask me, I would say from 16 above. Because there's so much going on in social media. There's so much happening outside. Child trafficking, online exploitation, children are being exposed to pornography. YouTube is a village. Just one click, you are somewhere else.
Yeah.
Children are being sold off on the internet.
Do you think we have the capacity to do that? To keep one's child away from social media till 16?
Well, like I
I'll
said,
tell you something. My nephew in the UK, my brother's son, his mom, staunch Catholic. That's maybe almost beside the point. Till today, she's got 5 children now, including my brother's son. No TV in the home. The only person that has access to a phone is her. She homeschools all the kids. She's homeschooled all of them. My nephew is now 18. He's done all his exams, his GCSEs, A-levels, everything, homeschooled. He now has a phone because he's 18 and he needs to be reached when he goes out to work and things like that. But you can have control if you are intentional about
but are
it.
we ready?
you have to monitor what your monitor the access to the internet. Parental or family control from the TV to their phones. But then again, when your home is safe enough for your children can come to you and say, Daddy, Mommy. Do we have homes where they are trusted adults? Do we have homes that there are rules that, okay, this is a problem, this is a challenge, this is a situation, this is borderline insanity.
Yeah.
We have to speak. In some homes, you can't even tell your mom you are being bullied in school, your dad,
In a lot
or
of
your
homes.
auntie,
In a
or
lot
even
of
your uncle.
Yeah.
I always tell everyone around me, I am the designated trusted adult here. My door is always open. My number, come by 2 a.m. A child, something, I'm awake, I'm alert. Well, that's my job anyways. But even if it's not my job, that is a responsibility I have chosen to carry.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, I am going to do this work, this gender-based violence work, up to the point whereby I'll be a global authority on it. This is my life calling. But again, it's my own awareness. So for parents, for caregivers, for adults, we need holistic approach, awareness, community intervention, policies, laws. We have a weak institution in Nigeria, very weak, almost non-existent.
So we have to repair that. It
So we have
starts
to
from
repair that.
Protect your gates and protect your borders.
So many
have
people
to
don't even
repair
know
that
that there's such a
regard.
thing as social worker in Nigeria. So.
Even when a child is disclosing to you, how do you undo that? So let's play a scenario. I am the child, or I'm the adult, you are the child. And what do you call disclosures? Disclosures simply means when a child comes to report a case of harm, suffering, maltreatment, or abuse to you. So you are the child. Kindly disclose to me, just say something, and I will give you 2 scenarios on how you can better handle the situation. Please go ahead.
Well, sadly,
we have
don't
run
have
out of time,
time.
actually. Busola, you have to, you have to come back on the show. And that's the thing actually on Jasiri. People don't just come. It's not a one-off. You must make a return to the table because we've just scratched the surface on this discussion. But I want to say thank you for coming on the show and talking about the job of protecting children, because it's not just the job of parents. It's not just the job of social workers or teachers. It belongs to everybody. If we want a future where every Nigerian child grows up safe, healthy, and free, we all have to be part of the protective net, whether you like it or not. That's our show for today on Jasiri. We look forward to having you on the table once again. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.